Support WrestleTalk!
Be friendly in the comments.
Did WWE just put on the best match of 2018 already? I'm Ollie Davis. This is Luke Owen. Welcome to WrestleRamble. And what a show from NXT TakeOver Philadelphia. We're going to kick off talking about the main event. Andrade Cien Almas versus Johnny Gargano, which I'm going to put my cards right on the table. I've continued the star rating system, the Ollie star rating system, after everyone didn't think I was too much of a douchebag after the New Japan show, Wrestle Kingdom 12. I've given this 5 stars.
Wow, the whole 5 stars.
The whole 5.
Crikey.
And you know me, I don't hand out top scores willy-nilly.
You don't. You gave Pacific Rim 2 stars.
Yes, yeah. So, what a match. Should we kick off with the entrance? Andrade Cien Almas' entrance.
Loved it, coming out with the mariachi band and a La Sombra outfit. Loved it.
The lucha masks as well.
Yeah, loved all of that. I thought it was a really, really great. What I really like about NXT is that, no matter the show, because they only have, say 6 or so a year, they always give their champions the big entrance. Bobby Roode always had the big piano playing up on screen, or choir people singing. For him, Shinsuke Nakamura used to have the lad with the violin coming out, or an army of violin players who I was very disappointed never interfered in a match. But Andrade Cien Almas got a mariachi band. I really like that about NXT. It makes the champions feel like a big deal.
I feel there's a fly in here. Get out. I think he's going to be a feature of the show.
I genuinely thought that fly was going to stay in the other half of the room.
I would like Johnny Gargano to also have violinists, but maybe just always playing sad music wherever he goes.
I mean, actually, before we jump into the entrances, what a video package to hype up this match. And what I really like about this video package is that it focused on how Johnny Gargano hasn't had the best run of form since he split with DIY, since Tommaso Ciampa turned on him last year. His best friend turned him last year in Chicago. And then he's losing all these matches, even losing to Fabian Eichner. Who's he? Exactly. That's what NXT wants you to believe. So he was losing all of these matches, but then he found a fire. Fire was lit underneath him, while at the same time, Andrade Almas had also had a fire lit underneath him as well by Zelina Vega to become the NXT champion. And what was brilliant about this is that it didn't even need their match from Brooklyn last year. It was in Chicago, was it?
I can't remember which one, but yes.
Brooklyn or Chicago. But
yeah.
It was definitely Brooklyn, where they just had that absolutely amazing opening match. The match that everyone thought were that'd be all right. Oh my God, it was one of the best matches of the year. And that really played into the actual match, but they didn't even need it for the video package because there's so much story in these characters.
I hope we're getting across how excited and happy we are right now, because we have literally just watched NXT TakeOver Philadelphia, and what a very good show overall. But this main event, I feel sometimes oh yeah, that's why I love wrestling.
It was so funny because I got here into the studio first and I was watching New Beginnings, and you just came in with this cheery demeanor about you. It was hello. I mean, I was happy because when I got in the studio and I saw you brought new tea bags, so that would put a bit of a smile on my face, a bigger smile than I already had. But it's very rare for you to come in after a pay-per-view this cheery.
A WWE pay-per-view.
A WWE pay-per-view. Because usually you come in and be it was a long show, every match was the same, don't really have a lot to say about this sort of stuff anymore. This pay-per-view, on the other hand, you came in, beaming smile on your face.
Don't get used to it, because
the Royal
usually
Rumble
on these sorts of weekends, because apparently there's been some fantastic matches in the New Japan shows, which I haven't got a chance to see yet, I feel like Royal Rumble will find a way to deflate that. They've added 3 more matches to the card.
They have
on the pre-show.
All on the pre-show, which we have not done predictions for. But by the way, I might have changed my prediction for
you
the
can't do that.
Can I not?
No.
Oh man,
it's locked down now. But let's carry on with the match, this 5-star match. What would you give it if you were to be so bold?
Well, I think that star ratings are for douchebags, so I would not be giving a star rating for this.
So Johnny's family is in attendance. They were shown backstage earlier, and Candice LeRae, recent NXT signee, Johnny Gargano's wife in real life, Mauro Ranallo, who was on fire for this show. He was so passionate, and he made everything feel really significant, like classic Jim Ross style. He had such an on-the-nose line, but he's so sincere and earnest in the way he delivers this stuff. I didn't mind it. He said Johnny's father really wanted to be here, but he's just had quadruple heart bypass surgery. As we all know, Johnny's got one of the biggest hearts in wrestling. I was like, oh, just like I don't follow NXT week to week, but the video packages, the commentary, but most importantly, the show don't tell storytelling of the performers in the ring through physicality and just trash talking each other, told you everything you needed to know about this feud. This was a show of stories. Every match had a story to hook everything on, and that's what you need. It doesn't feel repetitive like the main roster. But yeah, it's such good stuff. So Johnny's family are at ringside. The championship's really built up like a big thing. It feels tangible.
Just before we go on there, you talked about how great Morrow was. I had a certain sense of dread in me when this show started because my boy Nigel McGuinness wasn't there. And I was like, oh no. I mean, I love Morrow, but Percy has been like more or less non-existent in NXT commentary. I'm pretty sure, all told, he says about 3 things per month. And I was just like, this is going to be really difficult. But you know what? Percy Watson stepped up his game, and I thought he was really great on this show. I thought him and Morrow worked together so well. And I'm not saying that Nigel always overshadows Percy, but I think because you didn't have Nigel there being so good, it allowed Percy to kind of step up and show that he can do this. And credit where credit's due, I thought he was really good on this show.
I'll have to disagree, I'm afraid. I didn't think he was bad, but he was background for me. Well, it was a Morrow commentary booth, and the only time I really noticed Percy was when he did one of the things I hate with my pet peeve. Oh! It's like, don't just say non-verbal noises.
I disagree because I like that.
Okay.
And you don't like it when Corey Graves does it, but I like because it makes the commentators sound like they're getting involved in the action. And are popping for things as well.
Doesn't really happen in actual sports. Slow-paced beginning.
It's not an actual sport,
for the actual. But we want to believe it is. Slow-paced beginning at the start. You know, a few exchanges, some nice reversal stuff. And I thought, like, as soon as they started, just the pace of the opening exchange, I thought, this is going to go a while. This is how you structure a long match, unless you're Okada and Omega, in which case you do the last 5 minutes of a match for 50 minutes.
Well, so, again, I'm going to respectfully disagree because it was slow, but it was also incredibly fast paced. And not only that, but it was like going for finishes straight away. But it was all about reversals, counters, and it was just brilliant. It was showing that both guys are quite evenly matched, and then that was told throughout the entire match itself. And I really, really loved that. I thought it was really great.
I'm not saying it as a doubt.
No,
that wasn't
a
criticism, but yeah, you know, you can sort of tell how these things are going to go. But I wasn't prepared for how incredible it was going to get. So we'll just run through some spots. I mean, too many to mention, really. Just a few. There was one where Almas did a moonsault, but Gargano rolled out of the way. Almas landed on his feet and did a standing moonsault anyway. That was beautiful.
What I loved about that is when Almas first came into NXT, that was just a spot for him. He did that in every single match, and it just felt so staged and hokey. But he hasn't done it. I don't think he's done it since his heel turn. So when he pulled it out there, I actually popped for it, even though I've seen him do it 100 times. I actually popped for it again because I haven't seen it in so long. I thought it was a really, really great spot. It was a perfect use for it as well, because at the point it was in the match where it's like, I've used everything I can. I'm having to go to these sorts of wells in order to hit these spots. But there was just so many things, like Gargano avoiding the so he was caught in the ropes, and Almas went to go to do the double foot stomp and missed. And Gargano quickly got up, just grabbed him overhead, belly to belly, straight into the corner. There's just so many things. It was all about just catch and release. It was all about counters, reversal, big move, counter, reversal. It was just wonderful stuff throughout.
Evenly matched rather than just the heel getting the heat on the baby face, which works. That's like the stereotypical model for a wrestling match. But, you know, not all the time. It feels like we see that structure all the time. This was, like you say, just great.
Yeah.
I can't think. Well, I gave it 5 stars. I can't think of a better you move, I move run of things. Yeah. So it's all good. It's like very good. But this is still only the first 10-15 minutes of the match.
Yeah. Like there was like an amazing set of moves, and they did this double down. And I was like,
yeah.
And I was like, this is just so good. The crowd was like electric through this as well.
That double down was when it sort of just shifted another gear, and then that was the first standing ovation from the crowd. Only 10-15 minutes in, it went another 10-15 minutes, which is insane. I don't actually know the full length, but it was Gargano and Almas were on the top rope. Gargano tried to do a sort of sunset flip powerbomb off the turnbuckle, but Cien did a moonsault reversal and hit the knees on Gargano, went for the second knees, Gargano moves out the way, Gargano goes to spear through the ropes, Cien catches him and does like a thumb and then face plants him, and then he does I can't remember.
Then he threw him into the corner and did like reverse DDT out of the corner off the top rope.
And then it was a near fall and double down, and the crowd are just going crazy.
Yeah.
And that was the first moment where I was like, okay, this is really good. So Gargano slingshot DDT onto the apron.
I could see them setting it up as well, because they'd done this spot. I mean, he does this spot a lot, but they did this spot on NXT TV just before the show, though, on the last Wednesday show. Almas took it like absolute beauty, like a proper Rob Van Dam style of a DDT, where you just kick right up and you just basically just go head down. And he was sitting up on the apron, and I was like, I mean, logistically, I'm not sure this can work. There's not enough room to do this, because like you need two guys to be like the same width apart. They managed it, and it was really incredible.
They loved the apron spots. Hardest part of the ring. It just feels so much more dangerous, like two men on a cliff edge when they're out there.
Yeah.
It's getting really good now. Cien is so quick. Like, just there were a few bits where they were just in I think it was like a rest hold, but Cien just did a flip, not a flip, but he just rotated his body round and was on the other side of Gargano like that. Just little really quick things.
It's funny because a lot of people have said that Andrade Cien Almas hasn't reached his potential that he should have had since going to NXT. He came in as a babyface. He was just the blandest of the bland as well. Like, he had a hat and some suspenders, and everyone was just like, yeah. I mean, when he was in Mexico, everyone was like, he's the next big thing. He could be the next big star in America. Came to NXT and didn't really light the world on fire. He just had a string of average matches, but recently he's almost like he's found his cool. He's found like his fire in him, not just in storyline purposes but in real life as well. I loved the match that he had with Gargano last year, loved the match he had with Drew McIntyre at the TakeOver show last year, and then I loved this match as well. Just really think that he's on another level, and I never thought I would say that, because I was at a point where I was like, I'm over Almas. Like, he just hasn't done it for me.
Well, the thing that's changed is Selena Vega.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
That package as a unit, and it makes so much. It wasn't just like, oh, we don't know what we're doing with him, let's just chuck a person with him. It really makes logic sense. Logic sense. Stuff bad. Where Almas is this party boy. That's why his character's a bit off the rails. But Vega, his business associate, comes into the picture and focuses him. And I love the way she yells out instructions.
Yep.
Like, there's a bit where Almas was sort of dazed after he hit a move, and she just screamed out, "Knees!" And he went and did the double knees in the corner on Gargano.
Like a manager would do.
Yeah, like, it just really makes sense, that
business
partnership.
associate, I think she is.
Yeah.
Because WWE don't like managers. That's why Paul Heyman is an advocate.
So Vega starts distracting Gargano, but there was an amazing near fall where Vega distracted Gargano, but Johnny got Almas into a pin anyway, and after a super kick, and that was a great near fall.
Well, there was a spot when he had Almas set up to do the DIY kick that he used to do with Tommaso Ciampa, but Vega like grabs his foot, and you're like, oh, okay, well it's a spot you see a lot. That's going to lead to Almas getting the heat, and it didn't. Like, Johnny just reversed it yet again and just hit the DIY kick from the other side of the ring, just avoiding Vega, and that was the first bit of. I think a lot of people could say that there was maybe too much interference from Zelina Vega, but I actually thought that each one of them was just picked for the perfect spot that they needed to be, especially because you got the payoff for it right at the end, which we'll come on to in a minute.
Totally agree. Then there was some more apron stuff where an incredible double stomp from Almas off the turnbuckle. Gargano's on the outside of the ring post turnbuckle area, so his body's over the apron, and it's a stomp from Almas onto the apron. crazy stuff. And then so that was good, but I really liked the image afterwards, which was Almas ramming Gargano against the LED ring apron, like really viciously. It showed great aggression.
Yeah.
And Gargano's selling through the entire match was something else, because here he's dazed, just looking like that, and what a baby face.
He is. Okay, so I would say that in the last 10 years in WWE, there have been 3 amazing baby faces. That's
pure baby faces.
Pure baby faces. And that has been Daniel Bryan, Sami Zayn in NXT, and now Johnny Gargano. And I think that Gargano has that. He could be the Sami Zayn that we haven't had since he went up to the main roster. And he's just so good at being that pure babyface that he's the underdog that you just want to see win. And boy howdy did this crowd want to see him win.
And it's a concept that a lot of dazed fans, us included sometimes, say you can't have a pure babyface in this day and age. It's about tweeners and heels and cool heels. But no, this is Gargano is a blue-eyed babyface in the purest form, and people are behind him and they want to see him win. And so after that spot, Almas rolls him in, goes for the pin, but Gargano does a really strong kick out. A kick out, but not like a kick out New Japan where you just get up and say chop me. He gets up and then he fires up a bit, but then collapses again. It was beautifully done.
Yeah.
Where are we? This is just
well, we got the double knees into the corner from Almas,
yes.
And that was another great kick out there. But then Fight Forever chance. God, the crowd was so great for this, as they usually are for NXT shows, especially if you're in a town like Philadelphia, a really hot wrestling crowd. And then I'm just going through my notes here. Then you locked in the Gargano escape.
Yes.
And that was a spot that they've been really building to all match, was Johnny locking in his submission hold. And there you had Zelina Vega again interfere by grabbing Gargano's hand, almost stopping him from tapping, and just helping him reach the ropes. And the crowd was so nuclear hatred for Vega interrupting in this match.
And that caused Oompa Loompa referee to go over and tell Vega to stop that, and then Almas rake the eyes of Gargano, breaking up that submission.
But you'd think, and again, what I loved about this match, you'd think that would be another spot because the manager has interfered. This leads to Almas getting the heat, right? No, this led to Johnny Gargano doing a tope suicida onto Andrade Almas.
Suicida! Mamma mia! And then
Mamma mia chant as well at one point of the crowd. Love that.
Vega then does a Hurricanrana on Gargano onto the ring steps, and Gargano gets in. Then Cien hits something, but then it's an amazing kick out.
Yeah.
And the crowd are going nuts. Yes, chants. And then Moro's like, we've already pointed out the similarities with Daniel Bryan. Really great stuff. Vega, so Gargano's now on the outside. He sort of rolled out after that pin attempt. And Vega comes round to get Gargano, and that's when, and I forgot.
I forgot
she was at ringside.
I completely forgot.
The camera is positioned perfectly. Vega's coming. I'm like, don't you dare! And Candice LeRae, Gargano's wife, jumps the barricade. You don't see that. You just see her fly in and take out Vega.
Popped so big for Candice
really
LeRae.
Good.
Thank you, Candice Chance. She was just wailing on Vega because you could feel, again, through actions rather than the commentators having to tell you this. Through her actions, you could just see her frustration in watching her husband try to win the NXT Championship, and this pest constantly interfering it, and she was just wailing on her, wouldn't let her go, chased her out of the arena, and we're down to just these two guys in the ring. And that's why her interference worked within the match. It wasn't just, it's not like the Singh brothers for Jinder, where you're just doing it to set up the finish. It was doing it to tell a story that can further Gargano's character. And it furthers Candice LeRae's character. This is as ostensibly her debut in NXT. I'm using big air quotes for podcast listeners. Take a drink. And this tells you everything you need to know about her character. What such a great spot in the match.
Really, yeah, like you said, a great way to debut someone. And then it just comes down to Gargano and Almas. And then the crowd sense it. The air changes. It's been a great match so far. Now it's going to go into another gear. And they just go at it. Gargano's selling is superb. And then Gargano is on the ring apron. And he's sort of like selling up against the ring post, the turnbuckle, and they have a close-up, and I'm like, why are his lips black? What's happened here? Is he selling? By this point, I forgot I was watching a wrestling match. A made-up wrestling match. I was watching just a film. I was watching, and like the really invested end sequence in Captain America: Civil War when they're just fighting, and there's all that emotion behind it when Captain America's pummeling Iron Man, and Almas hits a brutal-looking double knees.
Sorry, before that,
sorry.
There was another Gargano escape. There was a slingshot DDT and a Gargano escape, and that's when the crowd was super, because Vega had been taken out of the match. And Candice was gone as well, and that was the point. The crowd so bought into to Almas tapping, and he came so close to tapping. It was brilliant selling by Almas. Oh, like what a great spot! But he managed to get to the ropes. Yeah, he rolls to the outside onto the ring post, and then those double knees.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like the safest spot in the world, because you, as the person, aren't actually being hit, because the knees just go either side of you. If anything, it hurts Almas more than it does anyone else.
Straight into the
exactly, just straight into the crotch.
Here's my dick.
But it's the Attitude Era.
Yeah.
But it was just, what a great looking spot. And again, it's perfect selling by Gargano, because he's just got the dazed expression on his face of just like, the lights are on, but no one's home. And Morrow is selling that so beautifully on commentary, as is Percy. Back into the ring, hammerlock DDT, a spiked hammerlock DDT, just like the extra little pinch of salt to finish off Gargano. Almas wins ostensibly clean, which I really, really like, because heels can win clean. They don't always need to cheat to win, and it makes them much more credible when they win. Great finish to the match. Just what a tremendous match.
Especially on his first proper big stage title defense as well. You want to build him up. Doesn't hurt Gargano at all, because, he was screwed around with for a lot of the match in the early bits. That last Gargano escape, I very rarely yell at the TV when I'm watching wrestling. But I his foot's on the ropes! And Moro was playing it up like, we've got to think, should this match be called off so Gargano can live to fight another day?
Oh.
Like, we're all behind him. We don't want to see him go out. And it was And then the post-match celebration where Almas walks off, and then Johnny stands up and everyone's clapping respectfully, walks up the ramp with Candice LeRae. There it is. Yeah. There's the copyright logo. It doesn't mean anything anymore. And that it's on and it fades off, and then who should come out but Tommaso Ciampa, Johnny Gargano's former best friend and DIY tag team partner, in a knee brace with the crutch, and he wallops Gargano from behind.
That crutch must have been made out of adamantium, because it left such an impression on Johnny Gargano's back. Like, I mean, I've not been hit with a crutch, but like, I mean, it bent like it was made of biscuits, or like it broke like it was made of biscuits, but it left such an impression on him, like on his back, and such marks. I was like, Lord, what was that thing made out of?
Yeah, you can hear Candice LeRae going, "Your back's bleeding." Yeah, in the fade out. Ciampa was limping a lot, so I assume he's nowhere near ready to come back still, maybe a few months off. But yeah, I was there was a bit where Ciampa was down. I was like, oh my, I thought he was reaching down, and I thought he was going to take off the knee brace. Yeah. And we were going to go, holy crap. But I really appreciated that angle happening here rather than in the match, like we both thought it would, to cost Gargano the victory, because now Almas looks fantastic. Yeah. Gargano looks fantastic. Ciampa looks fantastic. What bigger compliment is there to say 5 people came out of this match significantly more over and believable than they did going into it. Incredible stuff.
And yet you still don't watch NXT week to week.
By the way, we both predicted that. We both predicted Almas would win correctly. So we're just going to do a quick play-by-play of the rest of the card. A very good card, but nothing touched that.
Oh, actually, you know what? I almost disagree. I thought it was a tremendous double main event.
So really good opening package with Paul Heyman talking about Philadelphia and Extreme. Mm-hmm. Then you get the sad news that Nigel McGuinness is under the weather and wouldn't be on commentary. And the opening match was Undisputed Era beating Authors of Pain to retain...
Insanity, right? That was the match on the
Yeah. They did turn up.
Show up.
Probably ruling out the Rumble appearance, which we both correctly predicted as United Undisputed Era. I gave this 3.5 stars.
On the douchebag rating system.
Yeah,
I really enjoyed this, because this was... Again, it wasn't like your typical... He went right in front of the camera there. It wasn't like your typical WWE tag team match, because you had, like... O'Reilly and Fish, they had so many spots, but it was all about the domination of Authors of Pain, and just like no matter what Undisputed Era threw at them, they just kept standing back up. Even when they had one of them down on one knee because they'd injured his left leg, he was still just getting back up. And it was the left leg that played right into the finish, because they went for the Super Collider, but O'Reilly used the momentum backwards to kind of topple him off, send him outside the ring, and they were able to. It was a great little spot, like a great finish to this. I really enjoyed this match.
I thought it was a solid match. It didn't really grab me particularly. I did the story you said was good. The great thing about this show is that everything had a really solid story going in, and then they built on that story with the actual physicality. But yeah, that was a really neat finish, because I genuinely thought, botch. He's lost his balance and he can't do the Super Collider. But then when I saw it playing into the finish, where it was Kyle O'Reilly did a Hurricanrana, it sent Akam into Razor, knocking Razor out the ring, and then O'Reilly could get the roll-up pin on Razor. Really good. Kyle O'Reilly, he's one of my favourite people to watch wrestle.
He's so good.
The way he moves, I love it.
I know a lot of people seem to, they kind of rag him a little bit because he pulls really wacky facial expressions, but I just think he's absolutely brilliant. There was also a wicked spot in this when they had, essentially, he had Kyle O'Reilly in like a fall-away slam position, but Bobby Fish jumped up onto his back to do like a chokehold thing, and Razor just fell backwards, threw O'Reilly over his head, and squashed Bobby Fish. And I was like, oof, made me feel very uncomfortable, because that's a heavy man to fall on top of you.
You know how each promotion kind of has a certain thing that they like to do? I feel like NXT tag teams, double submission spots.
Yeah.
We've got to get our double submission spot in.
But as you said, there was a sanity interference during the match as well, which...
Not this one.
Sanity interference?
Not here.
Oh, you're right. That was later on. Yeah, sorry. God, why am I obsessed?
You love sanity so much.
It's because I was thinking of something else.
So then they show War Machine in the crowd.
That's why I thought of it, because I was going to say I really wish it was War Machine that interfered rather than Sanity, but I'll come on to that later.
Hanson and Ray Rowe shown in the crowd. They, of course, signed with NXT a couple of weeks ago. Then we had Velveteen Dream beating Kassius Ohno, which we both correctly predicted. I gave this 4 stars.
Which is a very high score. I thought this was, although a very good match, it was the worst match on the card.
I disagree. It was my second favourite match, just because, or maybe a third favourite. I mean, they're all very good. Velveteen Dream.
He's so great.
Is so great, and he was sloppy. There were a few spots, and I don't know what went wrong, but it seemed to be Dream's fault rather than one of the best wrestlers in the world, Chris Hero. But it doesn't matter, because the way he presented himself, he really made me feel like old school Jericho, in that when he approaches a feud, he uses the person he's feuding with's gimmick against them.
Yeah.
And that gets him over, because he's like this, I'm so egotistical, I'm going to beat you at your own game, which is, in this case, Kassius Ohno's Master of Knockout Artist, whatever,
yep.
And Velveteen Dream, well, I'm going to knock you out in 30 seconds. He made that cool.
And he was like, because Philly, a boxing town, Rocky after all, it was like this whole boxing thing. He was wearing like boxing shorts. I love his gimmick of just like he has custom-made gear for the pay-per-view that he's on. Like, he had Aleister Black gear this time he had Kassius Ohno pasted on his shorts. I love that, because we haven't seen that really since Rick Rude. And I think it's such a nice touch for his character. And he was over like a superstar on this show. The crowd loved Velveteen so much that even when he was their heel, and you did spots where the babyface was making a comeback, the crowd were booing Kassius Ohno because they just wanted to see Velveteen Dream win.
Little disclaimer, he is tall. He looks around.
Did you see it this time, did you?
Yeah, I see it.
Yeah.
But because he said 30 seconds, the match started off with the crowd counting up to 30,
and he got there.
Well, and then like 27 seconds in, Dream just hits a Hero from out of nowhere. Ohno, and Ohno falls down, and he looks like he's knocked out. Dream's celebrating, but it's like, you could have, if you pinned him there, you could have won the match, but he wanted the knockout. Really good stuff. And just, the way they structured it, I loved it. I really, it's like, it wasn't the cleanest match, but Dream is so captivating to me as a character, and just the presentation he puts in. That's why I gave it 4 stars. Really liked it. Gargano is shown backstage with his family and Candice LeRae as her first appearance. And then we had Shayna Baszler beating Ember Moon.
Which we did not predict. You and I thought that Baszler was going to win the title here, and I, throughout this match, totally bought that as a finish they were going to do. I was getting vibes of Lesnar Cena from SummerSlam. That's where I really thought we were going with this.
I gave this 3 stars.
I thought this was better than you have credited for. I really, really liked this match. I just think Shayna Baszler is so good. She's very new to the wrestling game, so to speak. So she is, she's not as polished perhaps as some of the other female wrestlers they have on the roster, but she has a superstar quality about her. She carries herself like a superstar. Really into Ember Moon as well. I think that she's got she's got such great charisma, and they both work together very, very well. And they told an excellent story throughout this match once again, including doing the Dakota Kai spot that they'd done on NXT a couple of weeks ago, where Shayna just stamps on her arm. And it just, I don't know how they do it. They just managed to bend it in some way that looks like they've broken their own arm. No. And it's just, it looks so vicious, looks so brutal. And then that kind of played into the whole match, which was then Baszler trying to lock in the armbar and Moon just constantly fighting out of it.
Yeah, so that's where it kind of fell down for me. It's like, I see the story that you're telling. I'm not a fan of that story. I thought the submissions went way too long. It's such a cool spot. And it's only been going on for a couple of weeks now. Why would you do that spot a third of the way in, so the arm break, the seemingly arm break spot, and then Shayna, this legit fighter who has, like you said, such ring presence, she gets her in an arm bar, which is her thing. Why isn't Ember Moon tapping immediately? Because now that arm break spot doesn't really mean anything, because I know, Ember Moon, fighting champion, wow. I don't... Moon doesn't connect with me. I know she does for a lot of people, but not everyone connects with everyone. Jeff Hardy never connected with me, so I don't buy into Moon's comebacks as much. But Baszler came out with that wicked Goldberg entrance, but no one with her. So it's like that's how unliked she is backstage. Just she walks out there, she's just a badass, and it makes Shayna look so realistic. And Ember Moon doesn't, just like ring gear wise.
She always looks like a Mortal Kombat character.
Yeah, whereas Shayna looks like, she's gonna hurt someone. I didn't like. I get it. I get why you did it, because Shayna, is sadistic and she'll pick apart the. But yeah,
I was actually going to completely agree with you, and I'm going to say you're absolutely not wrong on that, and you're right that what my criticism of this match would be that the arm break spot now means less than it did when she did it on Dakota Kai, when she did it in Ember Moon first, in this match. And I'm not saying you're wrong there. I think you're actually very much right on that. But what I really liked about this match was the finish, which was the going for the arm breaker, which might have gone on a little bit too long. But Baszler just let go of her concentration for the briefest of brief moments, and that's what cost her the match. And Ember Moon was able to stack her up, get the pinfall. And for me, the real brilliance of this was the selling of Baszler afterwards. When she'd got pinned, she looked up and she was like, I'm such an idiot for falling for that. That shouldn't have happened. I should be NXT Women's Champion. I should have won that match. I thought she was really, really great in the post-match, and then looked brutal when she locked in her submission on Ember Moon on the ramp. I just think that it's coming out of that. It's very difficult to book this kind of match where you have got this a dominating character like Shayna who is going to lose, to have her remaining strong and still looking like that killer at the end of it. And I thought they really did that within. They managed to keep hold of that within the storytelling that they did in the match, particularly in the finish.
Yeah, just I wasn't a fan.
That's fine. That's fine.
Then Ricochet's in the crowd. Hi, Ricochet. How you doing?
Yeah.
Trevor Ricochet Man.
Trevor. I hope they just called him Ricochet, because Trevor Man is not a wrestler's name.
but Ricochet Man is.
Ricochet Man is.
Ricochet Man. The Ricochet Man can.
Yeah. Trevor Mann is not a wrestler name.
And then we had the last match we'll cover, which was the not semi-main event, but the second to last. Aleister Black
the semi-main event.
beating Adam Cole. I've given this 4.25 stars.
Yeah.
I loved it. And we both called it right. No, we didn't. We had Adam Cole down to win.
Crikey, so we did.
But Black won.
Yeah, I thought it was good. I thought Cole was going to get his win back. Actually, I forgot about that. I thought I'd written down Aleister Black. But yeah, there you go. But what I really liked about this is that this had a big fight feel to it because the crowd were so into it. This is Austin Charms before that even started. And, I mean, I've said this about a couple of guys, but I really, really mean it with Aleister Black. If Aleister Black is not main eventing WrestleMania in years to come, then this NXT thing's been a complete waste of time. And WWE have no idea what they're doing. Because he's your next CM Punk. He's your next Punk.
Yeah, I mean, I always think Punk's appeal is mic skills. But Black's cool. Apart from the tattoos, I don't think there's much of a similarity, actually.
And kicks.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess style of offense, but I mean, Black's is a lot more believable. It's fantastic that he's.
What I mean in that is just that Punk was a guy that the crowd just wanted to always see on top. They just absolutely loved him, and you're right. Part of that was down to his mic skill, but the other part of it was down to his just complete in-ring, just the superstar aura that he always carried with him. And I think that Black has that in absolute spades. And I just think that he is a guy that you can build around. I just think he's so good. He's just got absolutely everything you would want from a professional wrestler.
Definitely a solid upper mid-carder. I'm kidding. It was just to annoy Luke. So yeah, this is an Extreme Rules match in Philly, of course. And the sort of psychology at the start was both men getting weapons, but then Black being like, no, I'm not going to use it.
Throwing away the kendo stick.
A really good spot after a few of these was where both men have chairs, they're in the ring facing off, and Black just goes, nope, and he throws it to one side. And Cole just got this big grin on his face.
It was the kendo stick.
Was it kendo stick? Sorry. Yeah. Cole's got this big grin on his face. He's like, you stupid man. I'm going to hurt you now. And he goes to whack the kendo stick, but Black, misses. Dodges stuff for a bit. And then, springboard moonsault. Cole clobbers him in the abdomen.
Didn't he just? Oh, man. And I thought, that was a shot that was like, man, that he hit him hard. That's pretty brutal. When you start a match like that where your first weapon spot is something that is just really hard, you're like, man, you've only got to go further up than this. You wonder where you're going to go. And I mean, they went to a place that I would argue was probably incredibly stupid, but we'll come on to that.
Well, so that was good, and then the next 10 minutes sort of went off the boil for me. And this is because, and it's no one's fault, it's just a freak accident, Adam Cole really quite brutally cut his hand open. It was just covered in blood. And at first I was like, is his leg bleeding? Where exactly is he bleeding? Because of course, everything he touches on his body now has blood on it. But it was the source of that. It's like the old joke where a man goes into a doctor's and he says, it hurts here, it hurts here, it hurts here. You've got a broken finger because he's touching all his body. But so it went off the boil for a bit because, rightly so, the referees and the medics were trying to stop the bleeding, and it led to Black going outside and setting up more weapon spots just to stall. They improvised as well enough as they could, but it did. That's why I didn't rate it higher.
I thought they hit it quite well. The crowd obviously booed it because that's what the crowd is going to do. But I actually thought that through replays and through Black going outside to kind of set stuff up, I actually felt that they covered up for it much better than you're giving it credit for.
No,
and I don't think that it really took the match too much off the ball, because I didn't think of Black setting that up there because Adam Cole is getting attention. I was like, well, Black's doing this because that's what this match is here to do. I mean, for me, this is kind of a double-edged sword because you want the crowd to be involved, but then again, I get really irritated when crowds be like, just all in Spanish chant, we want tables, and then when you don't set up a table spot, they just boo. And I'm like, don't be a dick. Just let them tell the story that they want to do. You'll get your table spot eventually.
I agree they covered it as best they could. Everything went right, but if the hand didn't bleed and the medics didn't have to attend to it, I think it would have been a better match. That's what I'm saying.
I'm not saying you're wrong.
So yeah, then it's the extreme feel kind of stalled because of you stop it with blood when blood shows up. So Black is on the turnbuckle after setting up all this up, and Cole throws a chair to him. Black catches the chair, and Cole does a super kick on the chair onto Black's face, and Black just like
Neste plunge.
Falls back. Real
back.
good trustful. You got to trust those tables onto 2 tables. So that was brutal. Then equally brutal.
This was the
spot you didn't like.
spot.
So Adam Cole sets up 2 chairs in the ring. So they're set up so you can sit on them. And the seated parts are facing each other. And he looks at it and he goes, no, no, no. So he turns the chairs so they're back to back. So now rather than a flat surface that you're landing on, you've got this peak of the backs of the chairs. And he turns round, Black gets him, and effectively does an attitude adjustment or a Death Valley driver, onto the peaked backs of the chairs. He took it all in his lower back. It looked awful.
Screamed. Absolutely screamed. I've not listened to the Wrestling Observer review of this.
Brian wasn't happy.
I was about to say, I could almost hear Brian Alvarez being so upset with this spot, because it's the sort of spot that you're just like, you'll look back in years to come and be like, why did I do that? Because it just, I don't think it adds to the match. Like, just because, like, it would have worked exactly the same way if you'd have had the chairs, with the seated parts facing each other. It's just, I mean, it was an incredible visual. Like, it really was. Yeah. And, credit to both guys, and specifically credit for Adam Cole for taking it. And, I trust that he knew how to do it safely, and I'm sure that he's absolutely fine. But man alive, when he hit, I was like, that. I mean, maybe it's just because I have a very bad back, and every time I see back issue, back spots like that, it makes my back twinge a little bit. And I was just like, man, I just feel really bad for him. I screamed. It just looked like it was the most painful thing in the world.
I think anyone with a back is going to... so most vertebrates in the world, snakes are fine with it. I take that every day of the week. So... Yes, this was, and then it went into what seemed to be the finish. Black hit a knee onto a chair, onto Adam Cole, and got the pin. 1, 2... Of course, the Undisputed Era pull Black out, breaking up the pin, and they beat up Black for a while. They go to put him through the announcer's table when...
Sanity ran out. This is
go.
where Sanity interfered. I thought it was in the other Undisputed Era match, but this is where Sanity interfered. And I do... maybe it's just because you're absolutely right when you say this probably rules out the Royal Rumble spot, or a Royal Rumble debut for Sanity, because this kind of embroils them back now into a feud with Undisputed Era for the NXT Tag Team Championships. I kind of wish it was War Machine. I kind of wish it was War Machine that did that. And again, like, a great place to debut them as a big team, as a big man team, puts them straight into the championship picture. I don't know, maybe I'd have liked to have seen not Sanity in this role. But that's just me.
I didn't mind it at all.
I mean, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just saying that maybe I probably would have preferred it to be someone else other than Sanity again.
So then, Killian Dane does a suicider on everyone.
Tope suicida, mamma mia.
And takes out everyone. So now it's similar to the main event, where once the women were out of the way, it was just the 2 competitors in the ring. So it was Cole and it was Black. And Cole goes to put Black through an announcer's table, but Black knees Cole through the table. It looked awful, and Morrow is flipping out. So great twists and turns in this match in terms of interference. Not overbooked. It was booked. Yeah.
The other thing I was going to say as well, but talking about how great Morrow was on commentary, because he was awesome in this match. Actually, I think he was awesome throughout the night. But the selling of Baszler's post-match attack on Ember Moon was so great, because he's like, I've called a lot of Baszler's MMA matches, and I've always had the utmost respect for her, but all that respect is gone now with the way she's been acting. And I'm like, this is passion. This is genuine passion. And it reminded me, I was watching NXT in the studio last week, as you caught a little bit because you were working, and I don't do a lot of work around here, and they showed an advert for the Royal Rumble, and all of a sudden there was just this bit where Michael Cole just went, oh my god, and you audibly went, ugh. And I was like, that was the most visceral reaction I've ever heard someone make through a soundbite of Michael Cole doing commentary.
Yeah.
And, mate, you got 4 hours of that tonight, and Stephanie McMahon doing commentary.
Yeah.
But it just kind of highlights as well how great Morrow is in his role.
It's like when you watch HD, Like, you can watch standard definition and it doesn't really matter, and then you watch HD and there isn't much of a jump, but when you go back from HD to standard definition, it's like, what's wrong with my eyes here? That's how I feel about Mauro Ranallo and Michael Cole. Like, listening to a bit of Mauro and then getting punctured with a surprise promo with Michael Cole's voice in makes me want to vomit. But yes, Cole then puts... So Black put Cole through the announcer's table, Black rolls him in, but Cole hits a super kick on Black, but then Black hits a Black Mass for the win.
Out of nowhere.
Wow, great story.
Love this match.
Really good match. And then the final part, just before the main event, it's like every match ended with, look at this guy in the crowd. We got EC3 in the crowd.
Under the name EC3?
Yeah, but everyone had their old names. Usually when they debut in NXT, they look, here's my name on the Titantron, and now it morphs into something else. It's evolving.
Maybe
Maybe
we'll see.
Pokemon reference you don't get.
Yeah.
So that's all we've got time for today. Please go and visit WrestleTalk.com now. We're going to be shilling that hard because we're very proud of it. And of course, click the videos that have just appeared here and here to catch up with the latest WrestleRamble and WrestleTalk news. Subscribe to this channel. This has been Luke Owen. I've been Ollie Davis, and that was Rambling.